All right, it says we are live. I can see the audio down here is working. Hopefully, this time, you would think after a couple months we got this thing nailed down that you're able to hop in the chat and talk. Okay, I'm just going to assume that that's happening right now. It says there's 5 people in here. Say something if you're here or if you can hear me. Valentine's Day is approaching, guys. It's coming up. I've just got off my phone, got done ordering some chocolate covered strawberries. We don't do Valentine's Day here. It's not. This is like the first time we've ever done it. Uh-oh, you guys are leaving. So hopefully this works. Jen Piazza's in here. I can hear you. All right. It does. We're here. It's actually working. This is wonderful. So for those listening later but not live, I do want to say, as we try to get this live stream off the ground this year, that this is not any official sanctioned live stream. This is not a Kafuzi Run Club live stream. We haven't been knighted by the dawn or anything like that. So it's not the number one live stream for anything. It's just a live stream. It's a good for age. It's a good for age live stream. So we maybe hit the podium. We'll hit third place for the 40 to 44 category. Um, anyway, yeah. And the purpose of it is to talk running shoes. And so I want to start the video or the live stream by talking more about running shoes in the front end. So if you're listening later but not live, you don't have to like figure out, okay, this guy's talking about Gary Busey now, and now we're talking about some other running related stuff. But the channel's called Running Shoe Talk, and I want to talk running shoes. And I don't want to sit here. I am not in a position of authority to tell you how running shoes are, though I make videos on the internet that say exactly that. But this is like a collaborative effort. So, like in theory, somebody comes in here and says, I heard the Peg Premium sucks. And I'm going to say, that was my experience. And then Joanna's going to say, that is not my experience. And then we're going to have a fight. We're going to people are going to be throwing hands, some internet hands. That's what they're going to be catching claps, and a clap back. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so there's that, right? And then also, so for that segment of shoes, in theory, I'm going to talk about like what I've been running in. Then you can tell me what you've been running in. Matt Byers in here. He says clear here as well. Awesome. $10 says Matt Byer was running in the Takumi Sens. I also ran this morning in the Takumi Sen 10. And I want to say that it is a dynasty. It's the GOAT. Okay, for the 5K, 10K category, it's not the Chiefs. Okay, they didn't quite do it, but I will say it's like a real dynasty, like the Lakers, Shaq and Kobe. And I'm gonna say the Spurs. I'm gonna say this because I'm from San Antonio. We call that dynasty, not the three-peat, but the 8, the 9, the 10. Takumi Sen still on top. Yeah, so I don't even know why I bothered last year with the New Balance SE Pesa V2 or like any 5K, 10K category. I wasted some money on an Under Armour speed shoe. And I talked myself out of the Adios 9, same brand. Okay. Just like a less fun Takumi Sen. It's like the ugly friend of the Takumi Sen. It's like, yeah, I mean, otherwise, maybe a decent shoe, but when you're standing there right next to your friend, I don't know what I'm talking about, guys. Andrew Chosen here. He says, "What's up, Andrew?" Yeah, Team Andrew. There's just something. Do you play the drums, Andrew? Because I play the drums. I run into a lot of Andrews, and they're like, "Well," and I did percussion. I was like, "You do percussion too?" It's a thing. Andrew's also a thing. Panos is in here. He says, "Hi, all good." All right, man. Welcome. Jason Horner says, "Great start with good audio and high def." We're not turning back, Jason. We've turned a corner. This is who we are now. We're crisp. I'm not allowed to say crispy. I'm not allowed to say. I'm not. My wife, she has certain keywords, and she's like, "Please don't, please don't do that." And I was talking to my coach yesterday. We did like a coach's corner that'll come out on Sunday. And he was talking about his race weight. He's doing the race weight thing. That's like the last lever. He's been running 18 years. He's down to pulling that lever. He can't pull like mileage. He can't pull the speed. He's doing race weight. So he's aiming to get down 140. I was like, "Did you run that by the missus? You know, how does Reem feel about you dropping down to 140?" Because when I got into running and like coming from CrossFit, I was probably like 170, and I'm a short king, so like 170 on a short king was decent. It's a little stout, and my wife's like, "Okay, yeah, that's cool." He's very loving and supportive. She's like, "Just please don't turn into a little runner guy." And we're on a journey here. I'm on a journey to become a little runner guy. It's just the way it's shaping up to be. But I can once I've run my fastest time, guys. Okay, I'm gonna go on record right now. Once I've run my fastest time across all distances, I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna put it all back, and you know, eh, that's I'm making it known. Alex Dominguez is in here. He says fisticuffs. Yeah, hands just everywhere. Okay, lots of hands. We're not messing around. It's just no foreplay. It's all bangers here. Matt Byer says no Takumi Sen today. 15 by one on, one off in the Nike Rival Fly 4. Did Sagasu talk you into that one? I'm interested in I've never run in the Rival Fly 4. Nike Yoda recommended. I knew it. And boy, did it deliver. 6:14 a minute average. Awesome. Wow. No, I just said it. Okay. Don't trick me, Matt. I can't be falling for this stuff. Okay. I've already got the Takumi Sen. We're closing in on 100 miles. Maybe when we get to 300, we'll revisit the Nike Rival Fly 4. There's so many shoes though that what's the Streak Fly? They got the Streak Fly 2 coming out. And it's interesting. I bought some spikes one time. I'm like, maybe I'll be a spike guy. And I ran in them like twice. I got them on sale with ones. I'm not gonna run in them. Come on. Andrew Cho says, I don't play it, man, though. I think my 5-year-old wants to learn. It's in your genes. So whether you know it or not, so he's probably going to be really good. Stevie76 is in here. What's up, Stevie? He says, how can you and you want to have two completely opposite takes on the Peg Premium? Well, this is going to come as a surprise, but we are actually two different people, but I know it can't be verified. You did see me running at Houston, Stevie. Okay. So, but did you not see him at the same time? But if you were to see him at the same time, you would know we were not the same. Here it is. People talk about bigger runner thing, and there's something to that, right? Like Thomas from Believe in the Run, like the Boston 12. You want to like the Boston 12, bigger runner. His weight may only be like 15 more pounds, but I think it's also the force in how you strike the ground. He's a heel striker. He's more on the heel. And that's where the Peg Premium, I said it in my video, I think the Peg Premium feels best as a heel strike. So I slowed down because when I run slow enough, I will land on the heel. And so I tried, but midfoot to forefoot, it is so uncomfortable. Case in point, he reviewed in this section, guys, for shoes. I want to talk about what other reviewers are saying about shoes. So it's not just what I'm saying about shoes or what you're saying about shoes, but it's like, oh, did you hear this person reviewed that shoe and this is what they said? So the verdict's out on a lot of the stuff, but like Joanna liked the Peg Premium. I did not like the Peg Premium. He ran in the Hoka Cielo X1 2.0, and he was not very impressed. His early overreaction was not great. And he's like, there's no heel to land in. It's like more like a midfoot to forefoot. So it sounds like a midfooter's dream. So I might like that shoe. He doesn't not. Now, for $275, I don't like that shoe because he said there's no Alpha Fly bounce. And I made the video at the beginning of the year on the dud or stud from all the shoes coming out. And when I got to this shoe, I said, I can be won over the way that people talk about the Cielo X1. But they're going to have to say keywords in here. It is like the Alpha Fly 1. It has so much bounce. And now it's lighter. They moved the insert, whatever, the cutout. And he said it's not like that. The bounce is gone. But so count me out for 275. I've already made my regret, my buyer's remorse. Someone put in the video on the comments, they said something like, The disappointment ASMR is putting me to sleep, and I'm like, ah, in the video a bunch of times. Oh, that was really funny. Yeah, you definitely hear the disappointment. But strangely, I know what Joanna prefers. I know the kind of shoe that Kafuzi likes. I know, like Meg, Believe in the Run. And I have found my spirit shoe tuber, and it's Andrea from the Doctors of Running. In fact, I bought the Glycerin Max, the Hyperion Max one for 25 bucks off the Supwell app because she said to run in it, or that is one of her favorite, and that became like the Hyperion 2. The Hyperion 2, the Brooks Hyperion 2 is like the second iteration of the Hyperion Max 1. And man, just walking in that shoe is like, this fits my stride perfectly. So I made a note. She made like her favorite shoes that she was running in, and I made a note of all of them. And the only one that's on my list that I really want to get, but at a discount, of course, is the Puma Mag Max that I don't have, that she likes to run in, which makes me think I would like to run in it. But this is good news that Joanna likes this, because now I can probably repost it for sale and people will be like, oh, this is a banger. The Don has said it's a banger. So let me buy this for Midlife Runner. Jason Horner's in here. He says, yeah, I promised myself I wouldn't get below 170. Otherwise, my wife says I look gaunt, super skinny face. Yeah, I've already kind of violated where I said we get, but and then I go into these off seasons like, well, I'm not training for a race, so then I'm gonna start lifting again. She's like, okay, that's good. But then I sign up for a race and then I start training again. So my buyer says Rival Fly on Nike's site is in the proto colorway for 70 bucks. Dude, that's crazy. I just talked to, I'm starting to do interviews again. So I did Coach's Corner yesterday with Senior Fox. It's pretty good. Trying to send it around Boston. We'll talk about Boston today because Boston's coming up, guys. And then I don't know if you know that. Yeah, the Boston Marathon's coming up. But then today I talked to Nathan Pennington from Run Dream Achieve. And if you're on the internet and you're on YouTube, you've probably seen him in the last 5 years. And so I asked him about his 219 marathon. I asked him what shoes he was wearing, and he was wearing like some original Takumi flats, Takumi Sens, like 5K, 10K flats when he did that. So I was like, dude, that 219, and I think the A standard was 220 at the time for the Olympics, but that 219's got to be worth like a 216 and some super shoes. I was just like, golly, talking about, I'm trying to work up the courage and the big nuts to run a half marathon in the Takumi Sen 10s, and this dude's out there at like racing flats doing a marathon in under 220. So Andrew chose in here. He says, shoes you want to likes, I don't particularly enjoy. Yeah, and there's value in that. There's value in like finding somebody that you're like, oh, they like, there was one guy when I was getting into running on the running channel. And then I used to watch the running channel. I know it's geared towards newbies, and I was a certifiable newbie at the time. I was a noob. And there was one guy in every shoe he listed, I absolutely hated every single one. Doesn't mean I quit watching him, because then if he mentioned a shoe, it'd be like, oh, I know that I need to stay away from that one, But I guess it's important to note. I think we should get into a trend. People who review, people who review shoes on the internet, saying like, here's my height, here's my weight, here's how I strike the ground. Here's other shoes I like. I think the Doctors of Running do that. On their website, they'll have like, when it comes to the fit, when they review a shoe, shoes that fit snug, shoes that fit good. So you get an idea of the shoe size. So like if I say, because I'm always torn in between when people start to have sizing issues, I'm like, oh no, I don't want to order two shoes, put one on and run. First world problems, send one back. But like I recently ran in this last weekend, I ran my 16-mile long run in the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 3. They were kind enough, Mizuno was, to send a version 9 because I had run in the 9.5. And Mizuno fixed a lot of their sizing issues. So like the Neo Zen is true to size. I didn't need to have size up. I ran in that shoe again, and it was a little too snug. I got some rubbing. The toe was like a little bit red. It was 16 miles. It wasn't the full distance. And I eventually got like the start of a blister. So they're too small. So if I say, watch out, you might want to half size up, like, okay, but like, what other shoes do you half size up normally? I mean, so I guess there's nothing that's going to beat going to a shoe store and just trying them on and saying, "Hey, mom, check it out," and then running up and down. That being said, the Peg Premium felt good walking around, but it did not feel great running. Andrew chose in here. He says, "I want to try the Puma Mag Max or the Brooks Glycerin Max. You want to like Puma Mag Max makes you want to get the Brooks, except they're $200. They're too expensive. Yeah, that's my big holdup. Someone mentioned they may want to trade me for the Pegasus, and I've already spent the money, but I kind of want to change it back in and get some value out of it." Jason Horner's in here. He says, "It's great when you're able to identify shoe tubers that you're simpatico with." Tom Wheatley from the Run Testers for me. The Run Testers, man, they put in the work for sure. They got a lot of them. I don't know any of their names. Is Tom the fast guy? The fast guy is kind of the guy I get on with on that. Maybe there's a couple fast ones. I saw that I wrote a comment on the Peg Premium one, and I was like, "Thanks for saving me 200 whatever dollars," and then I bought it anyway. I do that sometimes. I can get caught up in the moment. People start talking great about a shoe, and then I'm like, "Oh, I gotta get it." But that's why it's important. I laid down the groundwork for the Cielo X1 2.0. I said, if it's not Alpha Fly material, it's not us. We don't want it. We don't mess with it. Matt Beyer says, Sagasu is usually my go-to for shoe wrecks. Same size, foot, height, weight. Thoughts on foot strength and types of shoes we've enjoyed in the past. Although I'm more of a midfoot striker. Yeah, and I think about stuff like that when I think about like when I run in a shoe, even if I'm like, oh, this is an interesting shoe, like the Evo SL, it's good and I enjoy it. But I'm like, oh man, Sagasu is going to love this because I imagine as a 4-foot striker, this is like the landing of it is going to be perfect for like a push off. Right. And then like when I run in shoes like the Wave Rebellion Pro, I'm like, oh, there's no heel. Like heel strikers probably aren't gonna like this one terribly. So Jason Horner says Nick Harris Fry is the fast guy. But he's a heel striking fast unicorn. Nice. Yeah, I'm sticking with Andrea from Doctors. That's it through and through as far as getting that stuff. So let's see what I write down, what I've been running in. I did some hill sprints in the Deviate Nitro Elite V3. That shoe is like a little bit for everybody. These shoes are broken, or these glasses are broken, by the way. So it's interesting. I can take them off and just then my eyes will be broken. The Deviate Nitro Elite 3 reminds me of the Rocket X2 and the SC Elite V3, and they're all different shoes and there are different experiences, but I want to come up with a name for that category. It's like a user-friendly super shoe. It's like commercially viable. They just like they got a little stuff. They're safe. They're like safer picks, but they're still fun and they're bouncy and you can run every day in them. Like you can like super shoe trainers, but I wouldn't want to call them a super trainer because there's already a category for that. I don't know. Let's see. Glycerin 22 came out. I just watched a video from Just Jared. Just Jared's peacing out. He's, I gave him a shout out in my Rundy Awards for like shoe tubers to look out for, but it brings him no joy. It does not spark joy. So he's gonna Marie Kondo the YouTube. He's gonna make peace with it. And I told him, I put in the comments, I was like, bro, you can't go out with the Glycerin 22. That can't be the last shoe review. You gotta go out with the banger. Because is it the Glycerin Max or the Glycerin Mid? That's good stuff. You know, every video is not different. And there's nothing wrong with making the same video, guys. In fact, I think Steven Scollion's made the same video for the last 3 years, and I watch it. It's a good video. I watch it every time. It's a really good video. Sometimes there's stuff on Threshold or whatever. He gets into the psychology, the gym, the foam rolling, uh, the jogging room, the jogging school. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I need some water. Let's see if White Kafuzi has this little coffee right now. But anyway, yeah, love Steven Scollion's video, but it's like really motivating. And I can't really name any takeaways. I don't have a lactate threshold meter. I don't poke myself, but um, I take that back. I think the big takeaway is he seems to have a lot of race anxiety, and I just have a lot of anxiety in general. Historically, growing up, I have that in me. So when he's talking about it just being another day, just another Sunday, just another race, he's like, and I asked myself, can I run 10K pretty hard? That kind of stuck with me. It's like all I'm really asking myself to do on this particular day is just like run 10K pretty hard, you know? But there are people, there are shoe tubers that I think Kafuzi's the only shoe tuber that I'll watch where I have zero interest in the shoe. Like Sagasu covers a lot of off-brand shoes, and I don't watch them even though I like all of Sagasu's content, but I'll watch anything that I'm never going to run in the Topo 3 or the Topo 2, the Cyclone. And it's just I already have shoes for that, and then it kind of falls out of that range. Unless they send it to me, I'm not going to run in them, but he's the only guy. I think when the Evo first came out, all the running influencers got it along with shoe tubers, and everybody started making, I ran in this $500 shoe, and the only one I watched was Kafuzi, because I was like, well, what's it feel like to run in the shoe? I know who's going to answer that question because he answers it in every video he does. And that's really all I care about. It's like, what is it? And wouldn't you know it, a Marathon Takumi, Matt Beyer. Holy shit. We got to get our hands on that for a lot cheaper because it sounds like a dream. Stevie76 is in here. He says, Joanna joked about owning stocks in Nike after trying the Peg Premium. Thomas and Believe in the Run also mentioned owning stock in another shoe company. Don't know if he was joking. Shoe tuber conflict of interest. Oh, it was hard. It was on a run and just listen to. I mean, I'm grateful that Joanna really liked the Peg Premium because it will be easier for me to sell with the Don liking it. But I was just like, I couldn't be more unimpressed. It is the Pegasus Max. It's firm under the forefoot. $209 is a lot. It's a lot to ask. Skyward X is way more fun if you're gonna pay that much money for a shoe. I don't feel great about the Skyward X either, from last year. I think it could have waited. Stevie76 says there's a couple of pills for anxiety. Yeah. Some pills are hard to swallow. What I'm hoping for, guys, is that, it was beet juice for a while, and now it's ketone IQ, and then creatine's making a comeback. Kriya gummies. Guys, Kriya gummies sent me some gummies. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I started taking some creatine monohydrate. I've always got some somewhere, from it's cheap, and I'm like, yeah, and I take it sometimes, and then I forget about it, and then it's there. They're like, you want to try our gummies? And I'm like, yeah, I should have it right now. So I'd be like, hey, Kriya gummies. But yeah, the next trend could be Viagra, Stevie, and I want to get faster. That's all I'm going to say about that. So we'll do whatever it takes. Jason Horner says, how many brands do you have sending you shoes at this point? I only have Mizuno, but 361 just reached out. And I feel weird about so the 361 has like the Miro shoes, like the 4 ounce shoes. I very much want to try those out. We'll see if they have any available or in stock to send. Oh, Mountico sent me some shoes. Um, there's a Way of Life Athletic Co. sent me some tights, and then I get sent odd stuff, uh, a bike, accessories, recovery tools, things like that. But then I'll be talking to someone like Joshua Hubbard, and he just posted his Marine Corps recap, and I was like, oh man, I gotta get on. I gotta do a recap, but I gotta do a mile by mile for everyone who's going to be running the 50th. I took the camera along because someone did that for Boston, and God bless that man. We can talk about that in a second. You can watch the entire Boston Marathon. BAA, he slipped through the cracks. Who's the man? I wish I forgot his name. The outlaw that no one ever caught. I forgot his name. God, it escapes. But this guy, the BAA, they can't find him. They can't catch this guy. I guess he's got like this video's got like hundreds of thousands of views. He's running the Boston Marathon start to finish, and you could just watch it, and you can go, and you can go. But my point before I move on to that, Jason, was that um, uh, Joshua Hubbard gets sent Adidas shoes, so he gets to test all the shoes, and I'm like, "Where's the contact? Where's the? I feel bad when we reach out and be like, hey, I'll share my contacts, you share your contacts. Let's all get some shoes for testing." But I reached out to Koros. My Garmin, I got to charge it every other day. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, Core. I'm like the last guy on the internet who's not done a Koros pace test. I guess they've already got they got Flores, they got Floberg, they got everybody. They don't need me. They don't need me. I think they have Joshua Hubbard also. They don't need me. So anyway, this Boston, guys, it's a nightmare. It's like one of those you're asleep, dreaming naturally. That's where you have nightmares, is when you're dreaming. And you're like in school, even though you're out of school for many years, a decade even, and you're like, oh, I got to go to this class. I have a final today. And then you go into the class and you're like, wait a second, I haven't been here all semester. I'm so unprepared for this final. I'm going to fail. And then you wake up and you're like, I'm a 37-year-old man. I'm not in school at all. And I have anxiety. That's how I feel about Boston. Like I spent 5 years since I started running. Boston wasn't even a thought. Okay. I didn't think I would ever be fast. I didn't think I could run a 3:30 marathon, let alone a 3:10 marathon. And then you got to run much faster than that to qualify. It wasn't on my radar. But then it was like, okay, I think I can qualify for Boston. Then I qualified for Boston and I didn't apply. Or no, I qualified, I applied, I didn't make the cutoff by a minute. Then the next year I did apply, and now I've got there. Guys, Boston is in like 10 weeks, less than 10 weeks. Okay. Um, and I feel like I'm about to walk into a final. I don't know one thing about the course. That video in Boston, I want this to be tips. If you have Boston tips, put all your Boston tips in here into this chat. And then just so anyone watching this, I don't know if I can make that later, but not live, but like they can just listen and know I'll say them out loud for anybody who's listening later about live, who's preparing for Boston. Because I know Floberg did a whole series on Boston last year. I watched every single one of those videos. I don't remember one thing he said about the course. Why? Because I wasn't running Boston. I wasn't paying attention to it. So I watched this video of this guy's 300,000 views of this guy running Boston. And I'm like, what is this? This guy is running down the middle of a country road. And I looked at my wife, I was like, baby, look, this is Boston. It looks like they're running through the hills of West Virginia. I've never been to West Virginia. I don't even know what it looks like, but it looks like what I imagine you would be running through if you're running through West Virginia. And now it's like, but I don't understand. Because like Chicago, you run through, where's Boston? Where's Boston? Where's the city of Boston? I don't even see it, right? This is a world major. I'd be like, Chicago, you're Chicago out, Chicago back. You see downtown 3 times. You see Chinatown. You're all over Chicago. New York, it touches everywhere. It's everywhere in New York. Okay, like Berlin, London. You see the Cutty Sark. You're going through the name of the major. right? It's like going to Sydney and you don't even see Sydney. Like, why am I here in Australia? There's a Joey. I don't like. I could not understand. I was like, how did I not know that Boston was running through um the woods? They're just running through the woods. That's what I want to know because and I want to know. Okay, so then I started like now the algorithm is onto it. Now the algorithm mostly only gives me Boston tips, expo, buses, all these things. But I'm like, I do not feel prepared at all. Um, Andrew Cho says, I enjoy, sorry guys, this is the tangent, but they want to talk about Boston because we got other stuff to talk about too. But anyway, Andrew Cho says, I enjoy Connor's videos from Hobby Jogger Runner. He makes a ton of training videos and they're relatable. Andrew, talk about ASMR. That guy, he's an easygoing dude. And his like cadence and when he's running, like I could just go to sleep listening to his in the best way possible. No disrespect to Connor. Um, I think we are in the exact same fitness. Like I think we should pace each other for the races for the next year. Stevie76 said Joshua Hubbard said midlife zoomed past him at the start and caught up to him later in the race. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to do was set out at um, maybe like 30 seconds off my goal pace. And so, or like goal effort, you know. And so in Chicago, when I started, I was like at 8 minute a mile, and I didn't want that to happen. And I got behind a group, and it was like, this is an easy run. This is a marathon. And so I sped up to like a good marathon stride, but he caught up, I don't know, a couple miles down the road, you know. And I looking back at the data, it was all 650s, and in training I was running 625. So it was like slower than what it was, but it was basically like what my body could do on the day being overcooked. So when you overtrain, you're able to hit your paces briefly and then you just fall off and then there's no coming back. So, yeah, I'm surprised I have the video. I filmed everything, but we caught up on the bridge over into Georgetown and we talked a little bit going in. And so, but yeah, and then there's a lot of out and backs there too. So I saw him coming back later too. I haven't even looked at the footage. I know some of it's probably unusable. It was a lot of suffering. Stevie76 says Boston's in my radar when I hit the 70 to 80 age group. Yeah, let's keep those times, the good for age times there. And we'll make a run of it. Matt Byer says, gotta run for a meeting. I'll listen back for the rest later. Take care. Awesome, Matt. Thanks for stopping in. Stevie76 says the Wesley girls will go bananas when they see midlife. I gotta give them that, right? Because I won't be recording, but I need someone to record that. Stevie, if you want to come record that, it would be amazing. They need to see that my wife needs to see that. There's game's over. Okay. I'm very married. We don't even mess with it. So Jen Piazza says, I think Kafuzi's video from Boston 2023 is really helpful. They say the hills are done after heartbreak, but there's another one after that will break you. It broke Kafuzi and it broke me too. Well, that's really good to know. All right. So I have no excuses when I get to the post breakup, the post heartbreak to see. And last week I had, okay, so like I talked about some of this stuff last week and then it didn't record because they had like a laggy internet connection. So then I got kicked out and then I reopened it back up and then Andrew Escobedo and a few other people hopped into the live stream. And then I mentioned some of this stuff. And then he said something like he gunned it a little too early. Like you come down off heartbreak. And maybe this is what it is. You come down off heartbreak or like something about a fire station. And then it's a little too early. Like he started going too early and there was still more hills. So maybe that's it. Maybe wait to send it. I don't know, guys. I'm definitely going to I am running this course by effort, but also I am going to enjoy it, and that doesn't mean I'm gonna run it easy. It just means that, I'm not gonna try to squeeze out in every second possible and ride the line to see what's possible. Like, Floberg gave it his all. He raced for a PR last year. I'm probably gonna PR regardless if I show up healthy and I run a halfway decent race, I don't blow up just because my fitness indicates I'm maybe 15 minutes faster than I was when I qualified for Boston. But there's a lot of reasons why I think I really want to run it by effort. I mean, there are hills. Obviously, it's not the same as a flat fast course. I don't think I'm going to run Boston again. It's expensive, guys. So, like making this trip and doing all that, it's kind of like a maybe once in a lifetime kind of deal. If I have enough money to run another world major like New York or Berlin or something like that, London, Japan, or Tokyo, like I'm definitely okay with that, but I wouldn't spend that money to come run Boston again. And so I really want to soak it in, and I don't want to be caught up in self-centered goal times. I know shit, YouTube is a self-centered endeavor, even though it's like I'm trying to share my experience and I hope that some of this stuff will help. Boston Tip's great, but like, I'm trying to see how fast I can get. There's a lot of me in that sentence, and so I don't want to be worried about a time. I don't want to be worried about running fast and all that stuff. I want to be able to just connect with other runners, taking the experience and really, really enjoy it. And the odds that I'm going to run a course that I don't even know very well, great the first time out the gate is probably not very likely to begin with anyway. So if I'm going to run it once, what's the point? Like I'm not going to, I want to be prepared, but I'm not going to be like, I'm going to run this, I'm going to learn. Versus the other race that I'm going to do, Stevie 76 is going to come join me. He didn't know it yet, but he's going to come run the SATX marathon at the end of the year in December. And that's hometown cooking. I can go eat some breakfast tacos and best in the state. I can once they reveal what the course is, I can run segments of it for months on end. On race day, I'm gonna wake up next to my wife and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go run a marathon real quick. Um, I'll park somewhere. You need to come down there if you don't want to, and I'm gonna just drive downtown. It's gonna be a little quick trip. It's like my own backyard. I'm gonna know every turn. I mean, that's the course that's like that's the A race right there. That's the one I'm gonna to empty it. So Stevie 76 says, now I know. Yeah. So we'll see you there. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what your goal time is yet. When I finish before you, I'm going to come back out with the camera. I'm going to yell at you at mile 20. Jason Horner says, what's your nutrition and hydration plan looking like for Boston? Do you have a race shoe decided yet? So the nutrition and the hydration, what I'm doing, I did order all of my stuff from the feed. I know a chef, and I talked to him many years ago, and I said, when I got into running, I was like, I want to test all of this running food with the real chef and see what you think. Because he's got a palate and he's got a vocabulary. His lexicon is rather large and he's funny. And I was like, we need to taste all of these, like these running gels. And I never made that video. And he still seems Phil, but we just call him Chef Phil. I need to bring him on and we need to do that. So what I bought a bunch of things from the feed, and this is the strategy I use from Marine Corps, and it works wonders. I've got, so I went ahead and I got some Go gels. I've got some SIS Beta Fuel. I've got some Humachia with electrolytes. I've got some Morton Still left over. I've got some Goose. And I make these little baggies with an assortment of all of them. And then I took a ketone IQ shot in the middle of Marine Corps. I'm going to do that again. That was really good. And so I'm going to mix and match because it's the same consistency as that what I get sick of. So like one SIA Speedo fuel is fine. 3 or 4, it's too much. It's too much carbs. It's just too much of the same consistency. The gelatinous nature of Morton, same thing. It's just one's okay. I hit mile 16. Ah, it's not there. But like the Huma Chia and the Go Gels, those are like applesauce. I'm probably overpaying for applesauce. It's probably what it is. It's probably applesauce, a little salt in it or something. But those take one, I'm fine. Take six, I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. So, and I've never thrown up off a gel, but I really feel like that's a good approach for me. Um, complicated. This thing is complicated is that my wife has met me. My wife has met me at every marathon that I have run. She has met me on the course and handed me a bottle. Cheating, I know, disqualifies me. Well, actually, the pros get it off of little tables. I guess you could set it on a table and I could grab it from my table. But she hands me a bottle and it's got like 1,000 milligrams of sodium. It usually has some carbs in it also. I'm not going to have that. Boston's a point to point. So I'm going to bring the handheld. I don't really know if it's going to be enough. I'm a sweater. I sweat a lot. I don't know what Boston's going to be like, but I'm going to be taking a lot of water at all of the stations. So that's my hydration plan, is to drink the water they have available. I'll take a handheld. That's the nutrition. The race day shoe, I have decided it is going to be that embargoed shoe. Because it's what I ran half in and I PR'd in half. Now I want to take it to the full. I was thinking possibly a couple of other options. The Endorphin Elite V2 has my interest. But again, nobody was necessarily really blown away by the shoe. They really liked it. And I thought it would be better for heel strikers, but Joanna was fair in his assessment that's saying there's not a lot underfoot necessarily for like the forefoot or like the midfoot. So it makes me wonder, like, would it be too harsh? I could run in it, but I don't know, $300. I already have a shoe I want to run in. I'm probably going to save my money. That's the shoe that I think I'm going to go with. But I'm open. I don't know. They're definitely not the Pegasus Premium. We'll just say that. That one. And if anyone's interested, you slide into these DMs. And if you wear US men's size 9, we can work out a deal. So so there's that. I don't know what else I wrote down here on I have been running in the also been running in the Mizuno Neo Zen. That one's really growing on me. It's very soft, but like as a recovery, I thought like after the first few runs, I would enjoy picking it up because it's bouncy, but the more I run in it, like it's just so soft. And I think because it was a half size too big, it had more of a boat-like feel and a bigger bounce. And now that I got the right size, I feel like it catches me more. It's a lot softer. It's one of the only super soft and slightly bouncy shoes for like the forefoot. So, and I left notes for them. I don't know if Mizuno listens to me or whatever, but they already have the design for the next one. I mean, they're already working on it anyway. So I'm hoping that they go more minimal, because I said it in the video, but I do believe that soft and bouncy together can work on rare occasion. And it worked in the Liberate Nitro from Puma, the first one. And it was a small little slab of foam, of nitrogen infused foam, but it was bouncy and it was just soft enough, which is why I think maybe the Adios 9 could work in theory. I already have the Takumi Sen. Seats Taiken, so I'm not gonna get it. But the other shoe, which was my like 2022 like daily trainer of the year, maybe, was the Rebel V3. That is just a small little slab of foam that's bouncy and it's soft. It's fun to walk in. It's fun to run in. The only run I probably wouldn't do is recovery runs. But see, the Rebel V3 was like 26 and a half or something like that, 28 and a half millimeters of foam in the heel, and then like 21 in the forefoot. There wasn't a whole lot. And the Neo Zen is like 40. So it's a lot more. So if the Neo Zen reduces the weight and gets a little bit less of a stack, but that's been my feedback a lot for Mizuno, and I feel like that's my feedback. Last year was the year of the Max. Pegasus messed up. It should have been the Peg Max. It really should. They should have just called it the Pegasus Max. No, they didn't get the memo. I know that they're trying to go with the premium because they do Vomero premium. They have their structure premium. Their, everything's got to be premium. It can't be like Vomero. They could have gone Max. Though. Vomero Max, Pegasus Max. Because it is the Max. But I'm gonna probably go with a little bit less underfoot or lesser underfoot. I don't know. There's a place for it. Like obviously when my legs are beat up and I had a really long run, I wanted to run in the Neo Zen because it has cushioning. I did not want to run in the Hyperion Max one, which is supposed to be like a faster shoe. It's Hyperion. Anyway. Jason Horner said, "What's in the just walking around dad shoe rotation slot right now? I need to replace my all black Nike Peg 40s." Well, I've got two. The first one is this On Cloud Eclipse, and this is my other recovery shoe, but it's a great walker. And the difference between this and the Neo Zen is if I'm so beat up that I don't want the instability of a soft shoe, like I'm worried about it collapsing laterally or whichever way, then I will take this shoe. This shoe is a little tank. It's a little what is a little no, Tundras are bigger, right? Toyota Tundras, a little tiny truck. It's a tiny truck. It's cute. It's stable and it's. I really enjoy the On Cloud Eclipse for that. It's soft enough, but it provides a lot of structure, whereas the Neo Zen doesn't. But if I'm feeling strong enough and I want to keep myself honest, I'll run in that, the Neo Zen. Speaking of which, guys, my wife's so proud of me. I made a running friend. I made a friend. It's great because I'm an introvert. I do a lot of extroverted activities at work. I got kids. There's a lot of extrovertedness going on throughout my day. I get my run in the morning. It's like me time. Wake up, pray, meditate, go for a run. Introverted time. She's always like, "You need to make a friend." And it's like the "I love you, man," which is like the wives try to hook up their friends, their husbands to be friends. And this guy, the subscriber, commented on my video a while back, many months ago. He's like, "Oh, I can see my house. There's my house." And then I saw him out and about. His name's Aaron, and he commented on a video. I was like, "I need to be running 8-minute miles. It's one of the things I'm changing. I need to run slower. My easy days easy." And he's like, "I'll keep you honest with 8-minute plus miles if you want." And I was like, "Oh, awesome." So we went for a run last week. It's probably going to be like a weekly thing. So the Neo Zen will keep me honest when I got no friends because, I don't feel like running 730s in the Neo Zen, but 8s is there. So, but now I got a buddy to run with too. And so we ran, I don't know, 7 or 8 miles at a 8:29 pace. And that was pretty sweet. He's coming back from an injury. He was going to be running the Mesa Marathon, which I want to do at a certain point because it's kind of like right in that perfect Texas winter weather. Jason Horner's in here. He says, "On Cloud Eclipse equals Toyota Tacoma." Thumbs up. Yeah, the other shoe that I wear, so this is still high off the ground, the On Cloud Eclipse. And that's that protective high stack kind of shoe. But I like a lot of ground feel in my shoes. Like I used to walk around in the Reebok Float Ride Energy, the 2. I wore that one out completely. I think I have the 5 somewhere, but I switched to the Vomero 16. It was like one of those deals I got online for like 40 bucks. Guys, if you got any good running shoe deals, you can throw them in there in the chat, by the way. I don't have the money to spend, but you know, tempt me. We'll see what happens. But the Vomero and Nike shoes in general, usually they got that drop, the 10 mil drop. I like ground contact in the forefoot, the waffle pattern outsole that can withstand, an attack like it's the 300. I mean, it's just like that thing is gonna last forever. They could probably cut half of it down and still the weight would be fine. But so those are the two that I generally go into. Sometimes I work in the Rebel V3 because I talked myself into buying it. I think that's the last shoe that I said I was gonna like rebuy. Like I passed on the Wave Rebellion Pro 2. I really wanted to buy it, even though I have 150 miles in the ones I have now, or something like that. I don't know. Because I think, man, I'm gonna want to run in that again. It's like no more rebuying shoes. And so I bought the shoes. I rarely run in the Rebel V3s again because I have shoes like the Hyperion Max 1. I could run in the Evo SL up tempo. I don't need to run in the Rebel V3. I'm only going to wear it around. Maybe I'll mow the lawn in it. They're all black, so they won't get too dirty. But um, anyway, learn my lesson. I do that out of obligation, just to get the miles in, or just to get some use in, so I don't feel like I wasted my $80. I blame Joe's outlet, New Balance outlet. They got me. So Jason Horner says those Max Stack shoes that weigh over 300 grams are the ones that keep me in check on pace. Yeah. So those are good for like the easy days. And the On Cloud Eclipse might qualify. I don't know. I didn't weigh it. But um sometimes if the shoe is too heavy, I ran in one of the more V3. I ran in one of the Moors and I was like, it's too much. And then the same thing with the New Balance 1080 V13. I think I shared all over that one on the channel. But if it's too soft or it's too heavy, it's too much work for what I'm looking for to do on recovery. And hopefully, I'm not in such a sad state as much this year. I'm taking every Monday off. I've stuck to it so far. I got to really just get that mileage kind of thing out of my head for now. And then, like after Boston, I'm going to do a gigantic aerobic base building block, but I can't really pitch it. It's like, who wants to watch that? So I'll probably label it like MAF. MAF is back. And we'll try to hit that 100-mile weeks of mileage. We'll finally get the Primex strung to 1,000 miles. And, but like right now, I just need to take my day off and not focus on mileage and not overtrain. So, all right. Anyway, this weekend, Sunday. So tomorrow, actually, you know what? Yeah, tomorrow I might get that Matt Fox video done tonight and then have it up for tomorrow for the coaches corner for Boston. Some good stuff in there. And then Sunday might be a long run video from last week. And then we'll get, maybe I'll talk to Jen, my good friend, Jen Piazza, see if we can't get that Nate Pennington video out. Next week, I'm talking to Tim Gross. He sent me a link of everything he's ever run. And he is so fast. What he was. He still probably is because he's like 59 for his age. But let me know what you want me to ask him. I think he's so funny. I don't know if he's trying to be funny, but he's really funny. And so we're gonna talk. I'm trying to be a little more comedic in these interviews we're doing this year. So well, in here, Andrew Cho says, what's your long run gonna look like this weekend? Well, we didn't talk about it much. And in the video with Matt Fox tomorrow, I don't think we talked about what it actually looks like for Boston. But one of the topics we're talking about is that the marathon specific. So the long run, to answer your question, Andrew, is going to be 16 miles, and it's just going to be 16 miles time on feet. So one of the topics we talked about with Matt Fox is like, how much marathon training do you actually need? When I started, it was 16-week blocks, 12-week blocks, 14-week blocks. 12 was even pushing it. It was like 16 to 20. And then, when I got with Matt Fox, he does these 10-week blocks, 8 weeks of training and 2 weeks of taper. But now he's even flirting with 8 to 6 weeks. That includes a 2 week taper. And up until then, you were doing like fast stuff. You're just doing like what I'm doing now. I did a 3K workout today. Okay. So with some fast 200s, it's just speed, 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 working a little bit of endurance, and then you go. And that's kind of scary. It scares the shit out of me, actually, to be honest. I want to do it. I want to try it, right? Because I always feel like I lose that speed. But that means I've got this week and next week just with this. I mean, I'm still doing a long run. 16 miles isn't something to laugh at. I mean, that's the Hanson standard, right? But when we get into those 18, 20, 22-mile long runs with marathon pace, there's only going to be about 6 weeks of those before the 2 week taper. So we're that's the plan for Boston. That's kind of scary. We talk about it a little bit in the interview that will come out tomorrow, but we don't really go into the nitty gritty or the details with it. But like all the BYU boys and all those guys, they always keep their foot on the pedal, and they do a lot of speed. You got to be fast to run across a marathon pretty fast. I just don't also have decades of endurance like maybe those dudes do. So that's where my only concern is. It's like I'm feeling great to mile 21, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoop, didn't run enough mileage, and the endurance isn't there. But I think we'll be good because I peaked too early for Marine Corps, so might as well apply what I learned going into Boston and not peak too early. Stevie76 says exclusive interview with Mark Zuckerberg on his running journey. Is Facebook still around? I made that joke to Nathan Pennington. I was like, where can people find you? He's like, well, I'm not really on Facebook. And I was like, bro, nobody's on Facebook. You're not missing. There's no runners you're missing out on. No one's on there anymore. Frank LaHoulier says I raced Boston in the Takumi Sen 8. That's why everyone will remember your name, Frank. All right, guys. With that, I appreciate you guys popping in. Next week, Jason, HD and audio. We're going. There's no turning back. We're on a roll now. This is us now. This is who we are. Thanks, guys.